Got a shot of Paul's kid here. We're going to pick up the group. We're heading out to Bailey Grove East today.
On my right.
Yeah, through Mount Moriah Road. So it's cold here. It's about 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Which is about 5 degrees cooler than what the weather app said the low would be. So those who don't dress right today, they're gonna feel it. Because it feels like it's slightly below freezing. We'll get some clips of you all. Should be interesting.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, rode into the woodlands. We picked up riders from our start of the group ride, headed out 1488 West, went over Mount Magnolia. All of that's on film. 149, Jackson Road, 1486 into Dobbins. We stopped at 105 Mount Moriah Road, and then we went into Dacus. We continued on Johnson Road. I believe the camera stopped on Johnson Road. We came back after stopping at Taco Corner, took Spring Branch Road, Keenan Cutoff, through Grand Lake Estates, back to Honia, Egypt, and into the woodlands. It was a very, very pleasant ride. It started out cold and warmed up a little bit. One of our cooler rides for the season, but I think you'll love the clips that we got for you.
John, morning.
That's John Malbreck over there, Clement Champoussin. He rolled in. You hear him a little bit say, "Oh, I guess I was late or something." I said, "No, you right on time."
I made it.
Yes, yes. No, you just 1 minute. It's 7:31. You're on time.
Yeah, he said he thought he was going to be late. We tried to leave on time because, most of these guys get up very early and ride to the ride. And I think it's not fair to delay them. Get this ride over with and get on with the rest of the day. We don't want to tie up the whole day for cycling. As much as we love cycling, we have other things to do. So I respect everyone's time. So people who are here on time, we clip in and we go. Abby is using the restroom. When it's cold like that, you kind of have to use the restroom more frequently. So he's in there's a service station on the corner here, and Doug is going to remind us that Abby's in there.
Car right.
This is Alden Bridge Drive here, going towards Research Forest Drive. We're in the heart of the Woodlands, Texas.
Okay.
So Doug just mentioned that Abby is in the station, the gas station. So we're going to stop.
We'll wait for you guys.
So Doug's going to ride
Abby's
over
in
there to let Abby
in that gas station.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's in the gas station.
Nature break.
So.
Taking care of business and natural stuff.
That's Mike Barrera, San Diego Mike. That's Maurizio Topotopini. It's John Malbreck on the right here. We had a good turnout, as cold as it is. It's right at freezing. So we're on 1488 West. We just started the camera, and Paul's just being extra cautious.
It looks like it was the same mark there in the middle.
Paul thought that there was a message on the camera, and so...
It's that's the counter. If you get a message, something's wrong.
No, I didn't get message.
So we always look to make sure, because when we wear our gloves, when it's cold, we can't feel the start button very well. And so if you hold the button too long, then you can get like time-lapse mode, because you change the mode. They have like an auto start feature on the camera. So he was just making sure that we didn't have any issues.
I'm over here.
You push it?
Yep.
It starts to count down.
Yeah.
So I'm letting him know that the message that, well, it wasn't a message, that he saw something on the screen, and we're careful to look for that. That was basically the counter. Once you start the camera, it starts to count. Almost like a timer. it's cold. Okay, it's right at freezing. It's at 32.5 Fahrenheit. It says 1 Celsius. It feels a little colder. So we're not playing. I've got my warmest stuff on. Paul has a Rafa Pro Team bib tights. They're very warm as well. So I've got a base layer, full length base layer. My Rafa Pro Team base layer with the Pro Team thermal jersey. And then I've got my ASOS gilet. So I am very comfortable, and I'm wearing my gloves are lined. I've basically got a woolen liner on, and I'm wearing the Ultras. So my hands are comfortable. Of course, my shoes are covered. You have to find what works for you in what temperatures, based on where you live. I'm keeping my cadence very high because this group, we got a good turnout. We got Doug here. We got Mauricio Topotapini. Mo is here. We've got Mike Barrera from San Diego. Laura is here. John Malbrecht, Clement Chapousson from the AG2R Citron La Mondiale team is here. Paulie Longa, of course, is filming. And so we've got a great turnout. We got John and Jennifer. This is Jennifer in front of me. They're a couple that ride together. So we got a good turnout. It turned out to be a very nice ride. Mo is a little under the weather. He had the flu, a little, for one day, I think he had like a 24-hour fever. So he's recovering. And, he claimed, he announced that he was going to take it easy, but that didn't end up being the case. And I'm learning to judge Mo's plan by how he dresses. Because he's not dressed extremely warm today. And what he usually does, if he's not dressed extremely warm, he uses the effort to get him to the comfort level he wants. Like the day after this ride, we rode with him, it was much milder. It was like 10 degrees warmer, and he dressed warmer because he intended to take it easy. So when you're riding and you're gonna go like at endurance pace or lower, you gotta dress nice and warm because you're not going hard enough to heat up. I stay on the ride. We're still back here. We're still doing 2 abreast. It's not very, very fast yet. You will hear Terry in a few kilometers ask me, this not Terry, Jennifer. I keep mixing her up with Terry. Terry's another lady that rode with us a few weeks back. But this is Jennifer. Jennifer's gonna ask me, do you want to get in? And I'm gonna wave her up and tell her, nah, you go ahead. And then a little while later, we'll ride up. Jennifer likes to sit at the back. She kind of gets in a gear she's comfortable with and just kind of rolls it. So right now, I'm just trying to get nice and warm, right? That's why I got my cadence high, just trying to wake up my body. So even though we rode to the ride, this is a different pace once the group starts. What I find is when it's very cold, if my hands and my feet and my head are covered properly, my torso kind of is good. It's okay. So I make sure my feet are not cold because you don't have much circulation at your extremities. So keep that in mind. So we double up our gloves. We wear woolen liners that are designed to be put inside of other gloves, and that makes a difference. You still have some dexterity, but you have even more warmth. So you extend the range of your gloves regardless of what they advertise their ranges to be. I'm trying to get that heart rate monitor to wake up. It is not functioning. There is no way my heart rate is 57 beats per minute at this pace. So I looked on the head unit, I saw that it was low, and the electrodes are not sitting properly, I believe. So in a few kilometers, it will settle. Usually, when it's cold, I put a little bit of moisture on it before I put it on. But somehow it just wasn't aligned properly. That's what I'm adjusting right there. So by keeping my cadence high, I can react to the speed changes easier with less strain. But of course, it stresses your aerobic system. So you need to make sure you don't over rev because you can go anaerobic. And then you may need to slow down and recover. So it's a fine balance. This group ride was so fast, but when we're done filming, I sat up just for a moment to put the camera in my pocket. The group gapped us. And so we didn't catch up with them until we got to Taco Corner. That's off camera. And Laura was wondering, how you guys doing? I hope you guys are okay. And I told her, yeah, we're fine. We sat up on Bailey Grove for me to put up the camera because the camera pretty much, the battery expired. And we had enough footage, almost nearly 2 hours of footage. We try not to do more than that because there's just a lot to edit. And so I sat up. I didn't want to hold the camera in my hand. I took it from Paul and put it up. But in that instant, the group gapped us. So we just went ahead and rode into Taco Corner. That's what I'm doing. I'm adjusting that thing just to get the readings on the heart rate to make sense. Because it should be triple digits, not 90 beats per minute. It's still not, I don't believe it was touching my skin properly, the electrodes. This is Jennifer on the left. I overheard Jennifer mention to Paul Ilonga that she was wearing 5 layers. And then early in the ride, her husband John mentions to me that, oh yeah, we have not invested in the kit for this temperature range. I said, oh, okay, because that's a lot of layering. It can be a little constricting. So I'm wearing 3 layers: thermal base layer, long sleeve, thermal jersey long sleeve, and a gilet. And it works pretty much to freezing. And I don't mind doing the ride starting at freezing if it's gonna warm up. But if it's gonna stay below freezing, it's just hard to enjoy the ride. But it was not that bad today, really. When we started out, I had my face covered because the thermal base layer that Rafa makes comes with a built-in face covering. So your neck and your face, you can pull it up. So I pulled it up over my lower lip, just over my chin, at the bottom of my lower lip. And that was perfect. Yeah, she's asking me if I want to go in because she sees that I'm out there working. I'm trying to get this heart rate thing to work, but that's not the reason I'm there. I'm just trying to get myself warmed up. Because if I sit in the draft too much, I won't be doing much work at this point because it's slightly downhill, flat to downhill right now. In a little bit, we'll really start to work when we hit those bumps and we go up Mount Magnolia. I just wasn't ready to get in the line at that point. So when you're coasting like this, like you see me doing, it's an opportunity for your heart rate to settle. I think somebody's pulled off the front. That's why we had that coasting, yeah. So John, Jennifer's husband, has pulled off the front. He's gonna drift back. She's gonna tell him that she wants to be on his wheel. Basically, she's gonna tell him to get in front of her. And then I'm gonna just go around both of them. I think Paul and I will go around right here. There's a gap. She's leaving a gap for him. I go around. So she's telling him that she wants to be behind him. This is John. It's Jennifer's husband. So Paul rides up and gets on my wheel. As I've explained before, I try to make sure I'm somewhere in the frames, whether I'm in front, you know, whatever. I try to make sure I'm in the frames to where when I'm synchronizing the clips for the data, I can find where I am on that frame. Otherwise, it's not synced. That's how come when I stop pedaling, it goes to 0 because the data is synced with the images. The road's gonna go up a little bit, and this groove here, nobody backs off. So sometimes you gotta push in the same gear you're in. You have to listen to your legs, or shift down and spin, but not excessively. Because if you shift down to too low of a gear, you will get gapped, and then you can get gassed if you're just over revving too much. So it's a fine balance. I like to stay 85 to 95 when I'm pushing. That's a range. I just kind of glance. I don't pay attention or plan ahead of time. That range, you can feel the gear, but you're not straining too much. You can see how high my cadence is. The road that's kind of leveled off. You have to still listen to yourself as you rev. Make sure you're feeling good, and it just, because if you feel like you're out of breath, you shift up. Slow your cadence a bit to catch your breath. Got to keep your rhythm consistent based on your fitness and your training. This area has gotten busier. There's a red light here we're going to stop for in a bit. They have added a grocery store on the left. I believe it's an HEB. They've got a pharmacy on the right. It's going to be all built up in a little while and just crowded like a metro area, but you know, it's still a small area. This is right outside of Magnolia, Texas. That's John stretching his back.
28.
This is Frank right here on the white bike. That Mercier road bike. That's Frank. Frank had come out before. He was on a mountain bike. I don't know what Abby's doing. It looked like he's looking at his phone or something. So, green up. It's time to go. And you see how quickly this guy got up to speed. So Paul got gapped here. He's gonna ride back. I'm sitting right in front of Frank there. This is Doug in front of Paul. As we approach Mount Magnolia. It's about 3.5%. A nice little incline. Man-made overpass. Man-made incline. Basically get the traffic over the railroad tracks. Because back in the day, the trains would delay the open road, 1488. That's Magnolia High School on the right, those brown buildings you see. They have two high schools within a few kilometers of each other. I would say probably 5 kilometers of each other. There's a Magnolia West High School, which is further up where when we go to Riley Road and Whitehall, we go by there. It's a big high school. This is more of a gradual incline, you know, so you can kind of ride it. Doesn't surprise you too much. I don't think it's as steep as the overpass on, well, at least the old side when we're sharing the road over 2854. Yeah, 3%. That's about right. I just stay in a reasonable ratio, probably a 53-21. Maybe a 58, 60-inch gear or something like that. Just turn it. I think Mike Barrera is in front right now because Laura was pulling and she pulled off after we crested, I believe. Yeah, that's Laura on the left. I'm not sure what John is going up there to say, but he's going to tell Mike something. We'll move over so these guys can go up there for 2 reasons. They can trigger that light for us, so we don't have to push the pedestrian signal. We're going to be going left here. And it worked out perfectly. I think as soon as we stop, the light will change. Yeah. Because that car got there, because this road, this is like a little offshoot from the overpass. It's not favored. Mo's already gone. He's up the road. These guys dragging, so I'm like, we better get up there. When the light changes, when you're competing and you go around a corner, that's what happens. You got to be able to jump, and recover. Those repeats, if you have not trained for that, they get to you. So now on this stretch, we're just in a line, riding alongside, edited it for time. The content is the same. I just got rid of some of the mundane spots. That was Mo pulling off the front. He pulled for a little bit. then we're going to be nearing the area called Karen. That store we just passed on the left, that's a big stop. When we come out in the opposite direction, a lot of times we'll stop at that store. It's a good stop before you get to 1488. Yeah, that's Laura sitting on Paul's wheel there. That's Abby back there. Abby came out as 1C in summer shorts. So we're riding out of the parking lot. I think we're all Research Forest. And Laura said, I don't know how he does that. I immediately told her, he's cold. There is no doing that. It's cold. You're at freezing. If there's frost on the grass, it's cold. And I'm not sure why he does not cover his knees, but I can't tolerate the cold like that. My knees will complain. I played a lot of soccer as a kid. We get kicked in the knee often. So I protect my knees. Below 65, I'm covering them. Unless it's a very warm day. But it's still 1 Celsius. And where we're going is always colder. It did warm up. Maybe in an hour or so, I think the temperature went up pretty quickly. And plus, with the sun out like this, it feels better. But still, I don't know. I don't know how he does it. But I just told her, he's cold. Yeah, there's no way around it. Paul takes another shot. We're further down. We're approaching the area called Karen. So what I do when I wear hats, like you see on Paul, his ears are covered. That makes a difference in your comfort. And I much rather wear a lighter cap, cover my ears, and then when the ride heats up, I can flip the cover up to regulate my temperature. As opposed to putting on something that's too heavy. I will wear a heavy woolen cap if it's cold and it's going to stay cold, and if we're not going to ride that hard. We're approaching 149. I edited this stretch because it was just a line, you know. 149 goes to the right. And going straight becomes Jackson Road. So Mo is at the front, I believe. No, not Mo. I think it's Mike Burrell. But anyway, we let that driver know we're coming through as a train. So the person leading the group must stop or observe the traffic law, and then the group goes in as a train. Goes in through the intersection. So John pulled off the front. There's John Z. They're pulling off the front. This is John M. John Mulbrecht. Clement Champousson. You can see, if you look at John M. Look how warm he is. He's dressed. I mean, that jacket looks nice and heavy. He's not playing with this cold weather. Because you know, if you don't dress properly, you may not pay the price on the ride, but later on, later after the ride or the next day, you start getting chills and stuff. The body is very delicate. Even on a ride, sometimes you feel great one moment, the next moment you're not feeling so great. I rode with these guys on Sunday. Mo came out, Sana was there, John was there, Jennifer, and then Kenny. And we're leaving Taco Corner. There's a long climb when you leave. I'm riding fine. All of a sudden, my legs were like just heavy. They started seizing up. So, you know, having ridden for a long time, I knew to back off. I let them gap me, and then I rode back and called back up. But it's kind of like you don't know, depending on what's going on with you, because this ride was pretty hard, and then Sunday I felt good, but it was like that one moment so I had to back off long enough to let my legs recover, and then the rest of the ride was all right. But I really spent most of the day on Sunday just sitting in because I really wanted to take it easy. And the ironic thing is, we're supposed to ride easily on Sunday. Our average speed in similar terrain, it wasn't the exact distance, was faster than this ride. So the group does move faster, but still, it was not a very easy pace. That's all the more reason why I sat in most of the time. It was good having a company. I think Mike Barrera is pulling right now. The speed picks up. If you look at my cadence and look at the watts. So Paul's gonna just take his time and ride back. I'm not sure what. I'm sure he had a reason why he let us pull away like that. Somebody at the front is doing. So I don't know. They're just changing the pace or changing the effort. Because that was a little surge there. I keep my cadence nice and high, so I don't have to strain. The heart rate monitor is finally working now. I just looked on the screen as I was doing the narration just now and realized, yeah, now the numbers make sense. I had very good legs on this ride, so it was nice. It was different. And Mo's plan was to take it easy today, so he did a little pull on 149. Now he's sitting at the back, but then later in the ride off camera, he was forcing the pace. Even on Mount Moriah, Mike Barrera's done pulling. And he's drifting back. You notice we're still using about half the lane. You don't need to pull off and go way by the yellow line unless there's something going on with your group. That's less ground to cover, so all he's got to do is move a little bit when he gets to a gap, and he'll be able to slip in the line. But what I was saying is that Mo took it easy early in the ride, but then later in the ride, I guess he was feeling better, testing himself, because he said he hadn't ridden since the Saturday before. He had one day where he was feverish, and he was over that, but still, you got to kind of wait till you're 100%, So he didn't want to do a ride where the entire ride everybody was pushing all the time, But this ride still, it was fast. And you will see him, I don't know if he accelerates on camera or not, but I think, yeah, he was just testing himself. And then once we started coming back on Spring Branch, he would force the pace and would just ride up to his wheel and sit in, That's Laura and Abby behind Laura. We had a good turnout today. We started doing our own rides a little while back, for those of you who are not aware, and so we're just for more consistency. So we post rides and then people join, and we've had a bunch of people that have joined the group that are in the area. So when they're in the mood to come ride with us, we try to go different places. We try to keep our rides around 3.5 to 4 hours with the group. And then Paul and I get an extra 2 hours start and finish. So it's about 5.5, 6 hours every Saturday. That's our goal. So 3.5, 4 hours is 75 to 80 miles, sometimes a little longer, but that would be the norm. The line looks nice and tight here. We do prefer to hold the camera. I do prefer this view. It gives us flexibility. You saw Paul could just flip it around, get the view from the rear. And all we do is cradle it on our hand, but we still have access to our shifters, our brakes, and mostly held in the left hand because we do more shifting on the right anyway. And the view is better from the left. You can see from the shadows on the road, we're in a nice line. We got a lot of cars in the opposite direction blowing horns. I don't know if they were excited to see us or what it was. Even an 18-wheeler blew his horn, going the opposite way. You will hear that on 1486. The plan on this route was to make sure that we cover good ground, but not prevent people from taking those natural breaks. So we mentioned when we posted a ride that there's a possible stop at I would say probably the 1 hour mark. There's a place at 105 in Mount Moriah. There's a store there. We've stopped at before. I like that because they have a restroom that has multiple stalls and it's clean. And so we can go, people can use the restroom real quickly and we can leave. It's a good stop when we come this way. And then Taco Corner. And that was the plan. Paul is drifting out so people can come around. I'm not sure. Yeah, they say he wants to film something. I don't know. I guess he wants to film from the back. That's Mo. So now, if you notice, is 1C, Mo is wearing leg warmers. I mean, they go pretty far down. On Sunday, when it was over 10C, Mo wore, he's wearing knee warmers. I don't know if I said leg warmers. He's wearing knee warmers today. On Sunday, he wore leg warmers. So he dressed warmer on Sunday because on Sunday, he planned to ride easier, which makes sense to me. That's just my assumption. But on this ride, he was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to take it easy because I've been sick, So he's been off the bike for a week. He was a little ill. But then once he got into it, he had some stretches where he kind of tested himself. And that's kind of how you have to listen to your body. If you've been off the bike and you've been ill, don't just go and start hammering. Do a few rides. A couple, let's say a couple to 3 rides or something, and then see how you feel. And you'll know when you want to push. And that's kind of what he was doing. And then on Sunday, we wanted to all take it easy. Even Sana in the parking lot, she said, I want to do a milder ride. And when I posted a ride, I said, Mo wants to ride because he mentioned it during this ride. I said, yeah, we're going to ride on Sunday. Because Sunday, we don't post a ride usually. Just kind of, people do different things, So it was kind of neat to put a little ride together. And it was a nice mild day. It was 18 Celsius, during the return. It was nice and warm.
It's comfortable. We're going up a climb here, 2 to 3%. In a little bit, I believe Frank is pulling. In a little bit, he'll pull off, and then I will start to pull. And I felt pretty good, so I sat up there for a while. That's Frank. He's pulled off. I'm pulling now. And versus on Sunday when I was riding with these guys who were taking it easy, I got to the front, and I just felt like I was going slower and slower, so I didn't sit up there long. I just pulled off on Sunday. So when you're sitting in the group and you start to take your pull, if you feel like you just don't have it or you're struggling too much, get off the front, get back in the line. You might feel better later. But don't just sit there until you die, you know. So if you look at my cadence, I'm keeping it pretty high because I'm at the front. And I want to make sure that I don't get bogged down. And when the watts are high and your cadence is in a good range, you can tolerate it longer. So your legs behave differently when you have high watts, low cadence versus high watts, high cadence. And you got to find out what ranges work for you. What I usually do, if the road levels off and I'm at the front, I shift up so that these guys don't coast too much behind me. You got to keep riding the downhills. Like right here, I'm going to shift up through the gears. See the watts going down? That's because the road is flattening out. And so I'm going to shift up and the speeds will go up. So I'm in larger gears right now, and then we're going to go back up, and I'll find the appropriate gear as we go up. And the watts will go up because the grade. So between 300 to 400 watts is a good climbing effort. The road's lessening. So it went 3%, 1%, 2%. A lot of these things are like that, and you've got to shift as needed. We're turning right. So I turn, and I'm going to soft pedal a bit. You can see I'm coasting right now. I'm in the front because I know it was going to take. I could see the group was still strung out. So I shift up through the gears. So my plan here is to pull until the shoulder widens to make it easier for the guy behind me. I think Doug is on my wheel to take over. The road goes up here. I find the appropriate gear. I keep my cadence up to stress my aerobic system. You can see Mike putting power to the pedal. The road levels off where I am. You can see the watts going down. Once it levels off, the watts drop. So I shift up. just to keep my cadence in the same range. I don't worry about watts. I don't look at that when I'm riding. I'm just riding by feel. So you can see the speeds are gonna go up because the road has leveled off. It might go slightly downhill. And these are the spots where your body gets a bit of a break because you're not putting out that many watts. You know, we're doing almost 40K and I'm under 100 watts. Of course, I'm down low on my hoods or whatever, trying to be as aero as I can be. And in a little bit, I'm gonna pull off to the right. The shoulder gets wider after this sign here. I've already pulled off the front. You can see 0 watts, 0 RPM. I'm coasting. But then I'm gonna start pedaling because I want to make sure I maintain my speed so I can slip back in without trying to accelerate too much. I see Paul, I see the gap. He's gonna tell me to get in.
Get in, my brother.
It's still cold. 2 Celsius, 1 Celsius. This thing's flickering between 1 and 2 Celsius. Because we're headed north. So when it's cold like that, the first hour, let's say within an hour, you need to take a health break or something, a nature break. As soon as you feel the urge to go try to take a break, you don't want to be riding around with a full bladder. Somebody twisted a screw up there because I had to accelerate back there. Somebody going again. And this may look like it's flat, but it's not. It's still kind of a slight grade between 1 and 2%. Nothing major. And we'll go up a bit. It will curve to the left. Then it will kick up a little more. But you're on a grade and into the wind. So right there in the distance, it curves to the left. So as you're riding, you have to pay attention to how you feel. Because mentally, you have to prepare yourself that, okay, the road's curving to the left. That's an area of where your body will need to do some work. So you get ready and say, okay, I'm going to work here. You see? Somebody's going hard. They're pushing. That's the whole point of coming out here. We ride these hills. It's like weight training on the bike. We're riding these hills. See the watts going up? Then you got to find the proper gear to where you can do many of these without killing your legs. I didn't have to arch my back or do anything because I'm in the proper gear and I keep that cadence up there reasonably. You know, 95 to 105, that's a good range when the road is relatively somewhat flat, I guess you call it. The numbers don't really matter. I'm looking at my mirror and that driver backed off. I'm looking at my mirror. The numbers don't matter. So when I said 95 to 105, when I'm riding, I'm not looking at those numbers. I glance from time to time when my breathing changes to say, okay, what's bothering me now? And then you can change your range. You can work towards handling those ranges. Right here, everything fell hard. Look at the watts, 600 and something. In a few kilometers after we stopped, I discovered that I have a loose spoke. I must have hit something, you know. I have a loose spoke that needed to be straightened because the wheel was rubbing. Didn't take long to do, but you need to deal with that because if you leave it loose too long, you can damage the spoke or it can basically break on it. So I must have hit something because usually my wheels are solid. I got it sorted after the ride perfectly, but during the ride I was able to fix it, just straighten it. An on-road fix. Didn't take any major time. At this point I don't notice it because it's not making noise yet. It may be getting more loose because after we leave the store, then I started hearing it a short while after we went hard. And it's all on camera where we stopped, but we didn't film the fix. We just kind of stopped and I dealt with it and rode back to the group. That's why you got to have a little spoke wrench with you. I have a special spoke wrench for these Campagnolo Eurus wheels because the nipples are bigger. They're not standard. So you got to make sure you have your spoke wrench with you because it can happen. So if you do break a spoke, you can adjust the nearby ones or somebody can do it for you to get you to finish your ride or get home. So I always have a spoke wrench with me in my essentials kit. I steered to the left here because there are a lot of cracks on this road now, and some of them are pretty uncomfortable. They're not going to swallow your wheel at this point, but they're just, so I just stay a little to the left. And you see how high my cadence is. This whole stretch fell hard, even though the heart rate's kind of low, and that's why I believe that the wheel was already rubbing. I just wasn't hearing it. That's a micro stop if you must. That's what Mike Barrera said. That's what like the British say, stop if you must.
Don't take off your helmet, gloves, or anything. Just do your business. Let's go.
Micro stop.
As Peter said, pee in the woods.
Yeah, Peter rides with more than them a lot. I said micro stop a few weeks back. He said that micro stop means pee in the woods. So this is just a stop for a health break. I'm asking Paul how he feels because he was not well last week. He was a little under the weather. Yeah. Now Frank is going to use his pedals here to hold his bike. I never do that because it doesn't take much to knock your machine over.
Thanks.
Right there. He's using his pedal on that curb to hold the bike. I never do that. I always want two parts of my bike touching something, the wheel or the saddle or the bars, so something bumps it. So after that micro stop, we're riding back here. I believe Mo was up ahead and we're riding up to him after we left the store. I think this is where I start to slow down. I notice that I'm hearing this noise. Ka-ching, ka-ching. I'm just hearing this thing. I'm like, something's up. I don't know if it's here or after this. I think it's probably after this. Because we bombed this hill here, yeah. I keep my cadence high because all these bombs that we're doing here, every time we hammer these hills, before long we come to another one. So that helps your legs recover. So I think it's after this one that I start hearing the noise. This is Mount Moriah Road in northwest Montgomery County. It's always quiet. It's beautiful for cycling. I think once I hear the noise, I will pull off the group to the right to listen closely. Oh, now it's 7 Celsius. Wow, it's gone up like 6 degrees in no time. That's the kind of day it was. When we stopped to fix my wheel, I end up taking off my liners and I wore just a standard Ultrast because it was that much warmer, as indicated by the change in temperature. So in less than 20 minutes, it jumped up. This is where I'm hearing the noise. So I pull off the group, and I'm listening, and I keep hearing it. Then I look down, and I see that the wheel's rubbing.
You good?
I got a mechanical.
Huh? What happened?
Came loose.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, the wheel's wobbling.
The front or the back?
It's hitting the brakes.
The front or the back?
The front.
Oh, okay.
You can hear it. Yeah, I need to stop and check my wheel is. Hey guys, I gotta stop.
So that's Jennifer up there, and then Laura just let them know we gotta stop. So we just stop. They keep riding. They're finishing the hill. They're gonna wait. So I go ahead and get off, and then I take off my gloves and use the spoke wrench.
Yeah, I see it.
It was a significant wobble. I must have hit something.
Just a seat.
I had him hold my seat, and I got to the front, took off mine. So my spoke wrench is under my gilet. We got it resolved. It didn't take long. And I thought I said I'm impressing myself. I got that wheel straight in a short period of time.
Look at it.
Yep, I see.
It's straight and everything, but once I got back, I put it on the truing stand and retensioned everything. I hit something.
Yep.
I'm glad I stopped. That's what I'm telling him. You don't want to keep riding with it loose. It will continue to come loose and deteriorate. Plus, you got all that drag.
Pretty durable wheels, because I really don't have these problems at all.
Yeah, pretty bomb-proof.
Yeah, much better.
I'm closing my brake levers because Campagnolo has a button that you push on the ergo power shifters that flips the lever out to open up the brake. And that's what I was closing. They have their opener on the ergo power, not on the caliper itself, like a lot of the other vendors do. So we ride up to Laura. Laura had waited with us, so the three of us waited. Now we're riding back to the group.
Before we stopped, and I never noticed it.
Yeah.
Because on the way to the stop, I felt like I was working harder than I should have felt.
Yeah.
It was doing it.
Yeah, when we turned on Mount Moriah, maybe when I went over the tracks or whatever, the accumulation, you know. I don't use those wheels too often.
Yeah, it's all good. Looks good. Looks nice and great. I don't know if that happened before we stopped. Because when we turned on Mount Moriah, that road felt like 4%.
Yeah, the road just felt hard. That's like, but you know, you do what you got to do. But it wasn't making noise at the time, so maybe it was just a little loose. And the more I rode,
Here comes Mo.
the group's right down the hill there. That's Mo. He turned around. So we resolved this so quickly, so people are going to wonder what kind of mechanical did you have, and you hear me explain.
Yeah, we're good.
I think Abby's gonna ask, and I'm gonna let him know. I'll go up to Mo and Mo ask, and I'm gonna let him know what happened. That's what we're talking about. You'll be riding with Mo, like right here I'm riding with Mo, and then the road is gonna start going up and he would just start pulling away. Cause I've got about 20 kilos of Mo. He would just start pulling away. I'm like, I'm not gonna ride that hard. You know, cause I gotta do like 420 watts or something to ride with him. And he's just casually going up the hill. So I explained to him what's going on with the wheel and this and that. It was, you know, I true wheels a lot, so I build wheels. So it's easy when you have those skills. It's easy to fix. And it held fine for the rest of the ride, no problem. But once I got home, I put it on the truing stand and checked the tension all around, lubed and torqued everything. They're fine. So I must have hit something. There was nothing wrong with the wheel. Because when I switched my wheels for the weekend, I check everything. All my wheels that I'm using, especially on these long rides, they're pre-checked. So I must have hit something. So I'm telling John, because John wanted to know what was the mechanical that you guys fixed so quickly. It was quicker than fixing a flat.
But the alloys coat,
Yeah, this is 3-4%. I don't understand.
no,
It just seems like I guess we're taking it easy.
Yesterday when we were riding, Mary was down and her viewer was about that far.
Yeah, 4%. Okay. Wow, this is 4%. I didn't realize this was 4% getting off. This gets us off of Mount Moriah onto 1486.
Those must be the new tires, Mike.
Yeah.
Look nice.
Oh, they're lovely. They're just they're you know exactly like well basically they're the same casing as their tubulars. They're sew-ups.
Yeah.
They just don't. They close them with a latex tube, so and it rides just like sew-ups. It's exactly the same. It's such a great smooth ride.
Here.
Such a great ride.
This is 1486.
Yeah. Look nice.
So Paul's gonna usher everybody around him.
You guys can pass. I like to film in the back.
What's that?
I'm going to film on the back.
Okay.
John Malbrick, Clément Champousson from the AG Tour Citron La Mondiale team. That's Frank, Laura, Doug. Doug does a lot of gravel racing. That's his cross bike there, his gravel bike. And he's got like, I believe big tires on there. I think I overheard Paul asking him about them. I think he's riding like 32s or something. And that's Abby in front of me. So I go around Paul. In a little bit, so I'm looking to see if he's on my wheel. Then somebody raises the pace. You see the watts, you see my cadence. I prefer to do big watts on the flats with a very high cadence. You know, climbing, I'll keep it probably 85, 95. But on the flats, you get that acceleration. Just the snap that you need. That's the guy I was talking about, blowing his horn going the opposite way. He was in a good mood, I guess, this morning. Maybe he was happy to see us. I don't know. But we're working here. Mo is at the front, and I think he's trying to get warm. That's my only explanation. Because he's a little under the weather. He's still recovering from this fever. So this road's flat and it's chip seal. I keep the cadence high here. It allows me to stay closely on that wheel. When you see me drift to the left, it's because I'm coming up on Abby's wheel after somebody backs off at the front. So I will move to the left, go past and use the friction and the wind to slow me down. So Mo is pulling off the front. So I'll move to the left because they've backed off. Since Mo pulled off, so the next person can start their rotation. So you get that little yo-yo there. So I stay to the left, and as soon as they get going again, I just slide right back behind Abby's wheel. Then you don't have to use your brakes. Right there. Accelerate, slip behind him. That's the way you have to ride, because two things. You can see around the rider in front of you, and you don't need to use your brakes if you soft pedal, and that's what everybody's doing. Just kind of drift one way or the other. And then be consistent. If you always drift to the left, keep drifting to the left unless the situation changes. If you're going to change where you drift, check on the rider behind you. Make sure he or she is not drifting on your right, and then you want to drift that way as well. Because since I'm drifting left, if Paulie Longa wants to drift, he's going to drift right, more likely. So if you're going to change your direction of drift, verify, let the rider know, and then be consistent. And I'm drifting left, and before I drift left, I always keep my eye on the traffic behind. And since I'm using a mirror, I don't have to turn my head. A lot of times you use your ears. But you can see how high my cadence got to, like 126 back there.
So the main reason for keeping the cadence up, especially in this situation, is reacting to the changes in speed is more fluid. The strain is less on your legs and your lower back, and your recovery is quicker, and your legs can tolerate the repeats more. So you have to train that way to be able to do this kind of riding, because it's very taxing. Even if you keep the cadence up, it taxes your aerobic system, it taxes your muscles, because you're actually, it's like going to the gym and swinging barbells fast. You're still doing work, even if they're light. So turning a lighter gear fast is stressing your legs, and if you're not used to it, you can cramp. There's a lot of stuff that can happen. So you have to build up to that. You have to build up your tolerance. And as always, you listen to your body. So I spin to where it feels like there's no gear there anymore, then I shift up. You don't have to spin out the gear necessarily. I want to feel the gear just a bit. So you can do more of this than if you were pushing. And pushing is not efficient in this situation because you don't have the momentum. If you're pushing a large gear, you will get gapped every time they accelerate. And then you'll be fighting that wind resistance from the gap that opens. And then your legs will get tired because you're pushing a big gear more frequently than you should. So it's a different style of riding that you must adapt to. You basically are like a race engine with high revs versus the diesel. You develop snap by training like that. That's how you can open gaps on people. It takes leg speed to do that. Or close gaps quickly. We are on the outskirts of Dacus, Texas.
So now I think Abby is more comfortable because it's 7 Celsius. We're a little below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's it's probably 45. He's a little more comfortable, but it's still kind of cool because 45, it might feel like 40 out here, but it's warmer than it was when we started. So I'm sure he'll take it. Maybe he just doesn't like covering his legs. You know, there's some riders like that because his shoes are covered. He's wearing shoe covers because his feet are covered. I don't like my toes or hands getting cold. Not sure what that was about. So when you're riding with a fast group, it's a different dynamic than when you're riding by yourself and going fast and steady, or in a group that is riding steadily. Your gear selection is different. With these kind of changes in pace, you've got to use your leg speed. You see how the gap opened right here? That's what I'm talking about. And in road racing, they do that to wear you out. So if you have not prepared yourself, then you will feel the impact of that. It's a different style of cycling. We're in Dacus, Texas. That's Jorge's. That's a store people usually stop at. We're gonna bypass. We're not stopping there. They don't have the best restroom facilities. They're still in the Stone Age. They need to modernize that store. So we turn right here. This is Johnson Road. Go over those tracks. I am staying very close because the way these guys are riding, there was no break from here until Taco Corner. As I said earlier, once the camera went off, Paul handed it to me, and I decided I was going to sit up and put it in my pocket. And just that moment, and these guys were gone. I was like, man, it was on Bailey Grove. So Paul said, take your time. And so we just rode in after I put everything up. So they pushed all the way until to the store. The road has a lot of patina. I'm looking for the smoothest path to ride. I'm on Abby's wheel. Same wheel I was on 1486. I'm staying a little to the right. It was smooth there. I figured they're gonna have to come over because the way the wind is blowing, I don't know why they're over on the left side of this lane. Yeah, now they're coming over. So we're pushing here. I'm staying close so I can save it because this road is gonna start going up. That's another reason we like coming out here. From here until we get to 1097, which is right before the turn off onto Bailey Grove, it just goes up and down. It's a lot of nice rollers, and there are a lot of attacks on this road. People just force a bit. Mo goes, I believe Mo rides off the front, and we start chasing him. And Doug leads the chase when Mo takes off. In a little bit, I was messing with the cow. He's looking at us like, you know, we borrowed money from him. He's just standing there looking at us. I stopped eating cow meat a long time ago. I don't know. I messed with them enough. I guess I need to stop eating them. I just stopped. So I eat more fish and other stuff. I don't see fish every day looking at me. I don't even see chickens looking at me. but I'm into seafood and stuff. It's easier on my system. Yeah, there's a guy back there. I think he's going to be turning because he's very patient. He stays back there. And we let him know these guys are thinking about going left. No, we're going straight. We're not doing guerrilla route. I would tell them straight.
Straight. Straight.
I like this road better. It's smoother. The guerrilla route early on is a little chunky and then it smooths out. And so here is smoother all the way. I think this is where Mo's going to make it move to the front and just ride off the front and we start chasing.
Right back, coming around.
So it's 2%. It goes to like 5+%. I mean, it's just the whole stretch is up. And one thing about hills, if you feel good on the hills, go, because the hills hurt. So Mo's going. He's gone, making a move. So we're looking. He's riding off. The road continues. He wants to get some work in because he's been chilling most of the ride. So in a little bit, Doug is going to accelerate and we'll start chasing him down. So I think what they should have done was to just get on his wheel initially when he went by. Because if you let him go, you're not going to catch it. You're going to have to work so hard. But you see there's a gap here. Well, no, not that big of a gap. But Mo is gone. Mo is off the front. It fluctuates, but it's mostly 2 to 5. And I says 2 and 3. It's going up. So now we're working. And I'm just in my rhythm. I use whatever gear will keep me 85 to 95-ish. It's what I found that I like. That's just a tempo. So I may use a slightly bigger gear than somebody who wants to spin faster, but I can do that longer in that range without breaking up my rhythm. I think Mo is gone. I don't think we can even see him in camera range. We can see him. There's Frank there. Then in a little bit, we're going to go down the hill, and then Doug is going to get to the front. I think Doug's going to get to the front before that hill up there. But once the action starts, you want to stay close. Doug, yeah, so Doug makes the move. I'm just still watching to see. And Mike Barrera got the power down. That's Frank on the right. I think I moved to the left and go around Paul because I said, oh, these guys are breaking away. So this whole stretch, somewhere around here, the camera's gonna quit on us, but we just forced the pace until we got Mo back in sight at 1097. This road is all twisty. He's in there. He's in front of us. Got a bit of a gap, but the camera doesn't really show him. So we really went hard every time the road went up. Right here in this curve, you will see me use very high cadence, and you will see the gap open right here. That's what you need, that burst. You're not gonna get that mashing a big gear. It was a quick burst, and then you can recover and go again. Remember, get your K's in and keep the doctors far.